Hey, what's up YouTube? Back again. Bought a used Model 3 from out of state, and I'm going to show you my experience. But first, I've had to drive this bad boy almost 400 miles, and it got about 13 miles per gallon. It was terrible, but Enterprise, this was the only thing they had available. Guy hooked me up. He let me take it one way for $100, but I had to go to Costco and put about $75 in it. But this is going to be the last time I'll be sitting in this gas line thanks to the used Model 3 I was able to find. Of course, before I save the planet with my Tesla, I have to burn 30 gallons of gas, getting this thing about 360 miles all the way down to Charlotte. So I'm splitting this trip into two parts. This first part is going to be my drive down, picking up the car, and starting to drive back, and really focusing on the Navigate on Autopilot and how it's much better driving that thing 7 hours versus driving this F-250 7 hours. Part 2 of this video is going to go over the second half of this road trip using Navigate on Autopilot, and I'm also going to discuss how to add a used Tesla to your Tesla account. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see part 2 of this video as soon as it comes out. Alright, so let's jump into this video. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering, okay, Enterprise is not going to give you F-250 for cheap, but my local Enterprise actually wanted to get rid of this F-250 because nobody else wanted to rent it. So the guy said, for $100 you can have this one way, and I tried to get like a little 4-door Mitsubishi that was their cheapest economy car. So I didn't care what I was driving just to get down there. I just wanted something that got decent gas mileage, and it was $192. Not because of the one-day rental fee, but because of the huge one-way fee that they charge you. So the guy at my local place was able to give me this for $100, and yes, I did have to put $75 in it, but that's all the gas I had to put in it. So actually, this was cheaper, even though it's this big gas-guzzling F-250 that only got 13.5 miles per gallon. Just terrible. Okay, so I made it to Charlotte, and this Model 3 was gorgeous. The guy selling it, great guy, shout out to George. This car was 99% flawless. The whole front was wrapped, the tent was done, everything was in perfect condition. Really, really happy with this vehicle. Okay, tip number 1 when going to buy a used Tesla, don't factory reset until you verify the mileage on the touchscreen, because for us, that number there zeroed out. And so as you can see there, that this is a mid-range Model 3, and this white mid-range with aero caps and autopilot is exactly what I was looking for. Really can't believe I was able to find a mid-range battery this soon, because I think that mid-range battery was the perfect size and also provided all the range that I would need on a daily basis and for longer trips. The deal is done. I'm finally on my way back home, and it is a dream driving this thing over that F-250. Navigate on Autopilot is on, and it is incredible driving this thing. Automatic lane changes are all working properly. Everything is up to date. He's got the most up-to-date software running 2019.8.5, which is the current software as I'm shooting this video. And so as you can see here, Autopilot is performing flawlessly. We have Navigate on Autopilot, and you can tell that, as you can see on the video, there's one blue line going forward. That's how you can tell if somebody's on Navigate on Autopilot. And what that means, if you haven't seen my other videos or don't know about Navigate on Autopilot, that means that depending on your settings, that the car is automatically going to change lanes without any input from the driver. Now you can change that to where you turn on the turn stock and you control confirming the lane change that the car wants to take, or you can turn that off and the car has full control to move in between lanes. And you can also set the aggressiveness of those lane changes. Most of the time I keep my settings in Mad Max mode because I think all the other ones really don't have that big a difference, and I think Mad Max mode isn't that crazy as far as lane changes go. Okay, so notice here I'm just in Autopilot. I'm not on Navigate on Autopilot, but as soon as I see on the screen down there that the car sees the lane to my right, I turn on my turn signal, and it's actually going to change lanes in Autopilot into that on ramp Now when you're in an on-ramp and you're in Navigate on Autopilot, it goes a lot smoother. As you can see back there, I had to take over. But all the time I've used Navigate on Autopilot to exit a highway, it's worked flawlessly. So let me know in the comments below if you guys have experienced something similar where Navigate on Autopilot is a little bit easier on the on-ramps and off-ramps versus the just regular Autopilot. I would think that they would be the same and handle the curves the same, but I don't think that's the case, at least not yet. So now you can see here we're on the highway. Navigate on Autopilot is fully engaged. We have the single line going straight forward, and we are going to cruise down the highway. We got 6 hours. Don't worry, I'm not showing you 6 hours. I'm going to cut this video up and just show you the lane changes and the highway to highway and all the little fun things that we encounter. So when the car is in Navigate on Autopilot, it's going to illuminate a blue rectangle right there in the Navigate box, and it's also going to gray a route that the car wants to take. And then it's going to take the turn after your turn signal has been on for about 5 clicks. So a lane change from the left lane or the passing lane to the right lane is going to happen the same way. First you're going to see the blue box pop up, and simultaneously you're going to see the gray outline on where the car wants to go. And in this case, we're going to be going in the right. And so you saw it's asking for my hands to be on the wheel there. And so it's requiring your hands to be on the wheel during every single lane change. So you have to kind of give a little shimmy shake on the wheel for the car to know that your hands are on the wheel before it's going to take the lane change. So here we have a highway to highway transfer, and the Navigate on Autopilot is going to go from one highway to another. And as you can see with this blue illuminated steering wheel and also the blue line going forward on from the car on the center display, that we are in Navigate on Autopilot. And so right here I'm pointing to the max speed. So the Navigate on Autopilot just took that exit and also reduced the max speed and then sped the max speed back up. So that's something that I was just talking about, where taking the on-ramp and regular autopilot, that regular autopilot isn't adjusting the max speed like Navigate on Autopilot. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys are experiencing the same thing. So right here, it's going to get behind this vehicle, and again, I'm in Mad Max mode, and so I'm thinking that it should be overtaking that vehicle, kind of going in front of that vehicle if this is Mad Max mode. Now if I was in like an average Navigate on Autopilot mode, then I would agree that this car should, or the Tesla should get behind this car now in front of me. So here you can see that the car actually decides to get back into the left lane around this car. And so it's definitely not a perfect system. There's a lot of kinks to be worked out, but it's far superior than anything else on the road. Anything else. A buddy of mine was trying to tell me about his Acura that does the same thing, and until I physically got him into my Tesla and showed him what this Navigate on Autopilot actually does, he was blown away. He's like, yeah, this is light years ahead of what I have in my Acura. So having done a lot of testing in our Model X and now driven about 7 hours in the Model 3 with Navigate on Autopilot, not only am I very confident in this software, but I believe that this latest software update, 2019.8.5, is a huge leap in the direction of full self-driving. And I think it was really overlooked, and it was kind of taken as like a parlor trick like some of the other features of Teslas. But this is actually super useful, having driven for 7 hours after I just drove previously 7 hours down to Charlotte, and then taking this car, Navigate on Autopilot, 7 hours back up to my house. It was just a dream to drive. And I say drive kind of with a grain of salt, because I wasn't as fatigued as I was driving 7 hours straight down in that big rental truck. And so as you can see there, another lane change to the left performed flawlessly. And here we have a right lane change getting out of the passing lane, which drives me bonkers when I'm on the highway and somebody's going slow in the passing lane. So I'm really glad that when this right lane is cleared or the Tesla passes a car, the navigate on autopilot will get back into the right lane or out of the passing lane. And so we have another lane change coming here. So it's detecting that truck in front of us is moving slower and wants to get into the left-hand lane. Again, my setting is on Mad Max, so it does more lane changes than if you were on an average mode. And so here is I passed a car, and so it's going to get out of the passing lane and into that right lane because it sees that that lane is open and I'm able to still travel at the max speed in that next fastest lane. So as I approach this vehicle here, it's going to use that left lane to automatically get into, and if you're still not following me, I'm not doing anything. I'm not turning the turn signal on or anything. The car is doing it all. I ran into some traffic here, which again, if you've seen any of my other videos, this is where Autopilot performs best when it's in traffic. And as you can see here, it's trying to actually get over, and when those cars illuminate red, that means that the car sees it, and so it's basically not going to get over. And so I had to accelerate a little bit, not taking the car out of autopilot yet, but just pushing my foot in the accelerator, pushing the car forward into a space in between two cars. And so then it's actually able to take the lane change to the left, on navigate on autopilot automatically, just with a little help from me pushing the accelerator pedal. And now I also do this at stoplights when I'm in autopilot because I don't think that it accelerates fast enough. That's just me giving a little bit of feedback to the system, pushing the pedal down in order to maintain the space between the car in front of me. Okay, so we're coming up on our exit. This is where our first supercharge, and as you can see, I'm pointing to the max speed there, and that's automatically slowing down, knowing that it's going to take the exit ramp, and it's slowing down so that it can safely navigate this exit ramp. And the car really does a phenomenal job navigating this exit ramp, slowing down as it sees curves approaching. As you can see, it went from 66 now to 61, and it slows down as it sees a curve coming, and it really is super smooth. So this long transitioning exit ramp kind of goes into another highway, and once the navigate on autopilot sees that we're on kind of another highway, it increases the max speed back up, and then once it turns into the left lane, I have no idea why there's not a lot of oncoming cars from that entrance ramp over there, and so now this kind of highway merge area is going to completely merge with another highway. And so here you can see navigate on autopilot merging with other cars, and it does a phenomenal job. It immediately turns a turn signal on and wants to get over one lane, and it does that after it confirms that it's clear, and I check that it's clear also. And so here we have a couple more navigate on autopilot automatic lane changes before we get to this next supercharger. Okay, keep an eye on this next clip here. So as you can see, it's about to take a lane change over to the right. There it goes. But it needs to get over one more lane to take that exit. And this is why navigate on autopilot is in beta. As you can see, I have to take over because it misses the exit. So it's not perfect. So whenever you guys are doing your own testing out there, just remember this is a beta software. This is not 100%. It's close, it's really good, but there's always going to be those instances where you as the driver are going to need to take over. And I'm not saying that software is never going to get there. I think it is going to get there eventually, but this software that's currently running in all Teslas, this 19.8.5, is not there yet. So navigate on autopilot here, working fine. Once I re-engaged on this other on-ramp, we're almost to the next supercharger. We're so close. I'm ready to stretch my legs, get some coffee. So as we approach this exit, so you can see navigate on autopilot is engaged, going the max speed, and you're going to see at the bottom there, navigate on autopilot is ending, and it gives you a feet countdown. So at this particular exit, navigate on autopilot is not ready to take over. So autopilot is still on. We'll see how well it does. It goes pretty slow around this turn, but at least it slows down. and it actually is still engaged and in the right-hand turn lane. Alright, so we made it, backing into the supercharger now. So something to keep in mind, this car is still linked to the previous owner's Tesla account. It's not linked to my Tesla account. That takes several days. But what's great is that the previous owner has 6 months of free supercharging that he's still eligible for. So we get free supercharging on this trip back. So that's great. But something to keep in mind is I was told by one of the Tesla reps using their chat feature that if you disconnect this Tesla from the other guy's account, the free supercharging goes away. It doesn't stay with this car for 6 months. It only stays with this car for 6 months as long as it's attached to the previous owner's Tesla account. So those of you familiar with the mid-range Model 3, it does have a smaller onboard charger than the long-range Model 3, but I didn't notice any slowdown as far as the time it took to supercharge. I literally shot some video, took a picture of the car outside, and went in, used the bathroom, grabbed a cup of coffee, and it was ready to go in about 7 or 10 minutes, which is really fast, going from about 40% to about 75%. So something to keep in mind, Tesla's numbers are kind of conservative, so it was going to take me to the next supercharging destination with about 20% battery. And so as you can see at the end of this clip here, I actually go into the navigation screen where it's going to end up with several percent still to my next supercharger, but I go ahead and risk it. And when I do actually leave the supercharger, which you will see in part 2, the car is actually telling me to stay below 65 miles per hour in order to reach my next supercharger. So of course I don't do that, and I go a lot faster than 65 miles an hour because I'm trying to get back home and I've been in the car almost all day. So hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. That really helps support the channel. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in part 2 of this video coming in about 1 week. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.